Welcome back to Kudos Fish Keeping. I just made a video probably a couple minutes ago downstairs with my 75 and my 55. Well, my 55 planted ended up getting included with it because they're in the same room. But yeah, I took all the Endler's live bears out of here that I had breeding. You'd probably see in my first video. This is a 10 gallon, by the way. And here's my male guppy. I know he's at least part elephant ear guppy. I'm not sure what the mother was because at the pet stores they put them under assorted female guppies, so that doesn't really help. But so it'd be very interesting to see what he makes with these three. But this time I got the females actually like at a local, like more of a mom and pop kind of pet store. So I know they're gonna have better genetics and stuff. And they weren't actually too bad price, so actually their guppies are actually cheaper. Like Petco or PetSmart. Yeah, I got the cherry shrimp right here. I got some algae wafers in for them. There's some dwarf hair grass. I put some of it in my 75 from here. Yeah, I actually got my snail population down, but I've been picking them out by hand myself. But yeah, it's kind of a pain in the ass because the snails multiply so freaking fast that they're competing with the cherry shrimp for food. So I end up hand picking them out. So if you ever start cherry shrimp, make sure there are no snails that multiply really fast. So best word of advice to you on that. And honestly, these snails got in here by accident. I don't even know how they got in here. Like, because I had another tank set up, so I don't know if their eggs were still in the gravel or what. But yeah, they ended up multiplying in here. But yeah, I hand pick them out and I throw them in my 300 pool and my 125, but they don't really seem to make it in there because the fish just eat them. And it's like, guys, they're really good for you having them in there, not eating them, but they don't listen. Yeah, I also just got 2 sponge filters in here so the baby shrimp don't get sucked up or the baby guppies. So if you ever decide to breed them, you could do the filters with the covers. Actually, I could show you in my 29 gallon that I have my minnows breeding in. So you can get a cap like this for the filters. Yeah, I gotta get another piece for it, I know. But yeah, you could do that and they don't get sucked up. But I don't prefer that for breeding necessarily. At least for cherry shrimp, they seem to just crawl in them and stuff. Because I have a BioCube tank that I wanted to try out. But the only problem with that is I heard that even though there's a screening, the cherry shrimp could still crawl behind there. And yeah, so I just do a 10 gallon with the sponge filters. I think it's stupid simple. Less electricity. Yeah. Oh, and also if you want to clean them, you just squeeze them out right before you do a water change, and then you do your water change, and that's how you clean a sponge filter. So pretty simple. I've never really used them in non-planted tanks yet that long. I mean, you can, but they definitely do way better in planted tanks because the plants take care of the water a lot more. I mean, you can. It's just that you got to really upkeep on your water changes then and make sure you're doing your water changes regular if you do sponge filters in other tanks. I got some Java moss growing in there because the cherry shrimp really like that. And then I got this gravel at PetSmart. It's a special gravel for growing plants. But since I discovered garden soil, this will probably be no more. Because it's $17 a bag at PetSmart. Petco, it's like $30 a bag. And you're paying that much. And I mean, it barely filled. I used it on my 29 originally, and it barely filled it up, one bag. So if you're doing like a bigger planted tank, it's gonna be freaking expensive. Like my 75, that would have probably cost me close to $100. I bet by the time I filled it up. So the garden soil cost me like, I think it was either between $3 to $6, and I only used one bag. Yeah, way cheaper. And then I had some already aquarium gravel, so I put just a layer of that on top. So I didn't really need a thick layer, just one more layer. And then I did 2 bags of sand. Way cheaper. That's just my advice. But if you're doing a smaller tank, I guess it's not too bad. And if you don't want to wait for the process of the soil to kind of settle in and cycle out, because it's got fertilizer in it. So this is probably next best option. I guess you can use normal gravel and sand for substrate. I highly don't suggest it, especially if you want to grow stuff like dwarf hair grass. It's a lot more complicated plant to grow. I mean, like Anubias could probably grow in it, and like simpler plants, but yeah, otherwise it's garbage. That's just my opinion. Don't quote me on that, because there's guys that know planted tanks a lot better than me. And yeah, it works for some people, but I'm not necessarily an expert. I'm still learning this stuff myself, and I'm still making mistakes, so don't quote me on everything. A really good guy to get into planted tanks is Corey from Aquarium Co-op. Go on his channel. He could teach you a lot more than I ever could. And I know, so yeah, he really knows his stuff. I think that's all I got for tonight. So on this tank, I mean, cherry shrimp, at least you don't need a heater for them. Yeah, they're actually pretty durable with temperatures. So that's kind of cool. And actually, the sponge filter, all the stuff that it's sucking in, the shrimp are actually feeding off of that. So they actually really like sponge filters too. So if you do cherry shrimp, it depends what kind of tank you want to do, but basically you want to make sure the fish can't eat the babies or fit them in their mouth, basically. So guppies can't eat them, so that's why I got guppies in here. But like angelfish could, betas could, there's bigger fish like grammies. But that's why I'm trying to get the grass established in my 75 to throw these guys in, so I get a very, very high population and they have a lot of hiding spots, so that my angelfish can't eat them all. So if we pick some of them off, they're going to be so multiplied by the time I even put him in there. He won't be going in there for a long time, because the tank 75 is going to be a very, very long process. But I want to do it right. That's another thing with planted tanks. You get what you put into it. So if you're more patient, you're going to get a lot better results than rushing it. Because if you rush it, which I did with that 55, and that's why I'm redoing it in the 75, because I want to take my time and do it correctly and get really good results. So it's going to be probably a 6-month process at least. Maybe less, I don't know, and maybe more. I guess we'll kind of see how the plants grow and see how everything starts to go, I guess. And then I'm going to get a tester kit and start testing my water, which I should have been doing already. So do as I say, don't do as I do. So yeah, I think that's all I got for today. Any questions, just comment in the video. Like and subscribe if you want. And thank you for giving me your undivided attention. Till next time.